Back in the summer of 2016, I got my first job at 18 years old. I was excited about the work, but not about the commute. Without traffic, it was a 30-minute drive both ways, and I normally got off work around midnight, and the last thing I wanted to do was drive a half hour to get home. And during the first few weeks, I was still getting used to my new routine, and one of the first things my mother told me was to keep an eye on my gas tank, and if I ever needed more, I should leave early and stop on the way, but never on my way back. I understood her concern. I was a petite 18-year-old female, and I looked even younger. But being who I was, I half forgot, half ignored that advice.
Hair look like that.
And one night on my way home, I realized I legitimately didn't have enough gas in the tank to get me to my exit. I pulled into the first station I could find, not caring about the brand or the cost of the gas. I decided to make it as quick as possible, and only put in about $10 worth, just to get myself out of there. I swiped my card and began pumping gas, and once it got to the $10 mark, I shut it off and printed out my receipt. Thinking the worst was behind me, I was about to climb back into my car and book it home, when a voice came from the tiny intercom above the pump. "Ma'am, there was a problem with your credit card payment."
Oh shoot.
I paused and glanced at the guy at the counter.
Oh snap.
Felt a chill spiral down my neck. He was one of those tall, gaunt, sketchy-looking clerks, and was staring right out the window at me, beckoning me to come inside. I stepped back towards the gas pump and pressed the button on the intercom. "What's wrong with my card? I have a receipt. It went through just fine." I didn't try to hide the annoyance in my voice. I didn't like the look of this guy, or the way he sounded. "I just need you to come inside, ma'am. Your receipt is incorrect.
Oh
I'm
nah.
going to need to run your card in."
If I got the receipt and you say it went on there
a bit
and
too
I got the
quickly.
gas in my tank, I'm getting out of
I
there.
looked back at the guy
Get
through
that.
the window in frustration. There was no way I was
Get
going in
that.
there, where I would be alone with him. He
No
was staring at me
sir.
wide-eyed, like some kind of creep. I stood my ground, pulled out my phone, and checked my credit card app. I held it up stupidly as if he could see it from there, and I pressed the intercom button again. It went through. I see it on my statement.
Yep,
I'm
so
not
get out
coming
of
in.
there.
"Ma'am, if you attempt to leave, I'll call the police.
What?
I have your tag number. Please come
Call the
inside."
police.
I then
I got
shouted
the
at
receipt
him
to
from
say I
across
paid
the
for it.
parking lot
I'm
instead of
good.
pressing the intercom. "Over $10 a gas.
Get out
You're
of
gonna call
there.
the cops? Fuck you. I'm
Right.
leaving."
That's how I
walked a
feel.
few steps around my car and gave him the finger. I was just about to walk
Smart,
back around
smart.
my car and climb into the driver's seat when I paused. He was mouthing something to me through the window. I would have ignored it, but he suddenly looked much more desperate than creepy. He kept beckoning me forward and calling out something that I couldn't hear through the window. I must have made a weird look, because 5 seconds later he slammed a piece of paper on the window where he had hastily written, "Guy in your car."
What? What the heck? Oh heck no. Oh, what the
I
heck?
booked it inside the station,
Who is that?
and once I was there,
Oh
he
snap.
locked
How the heck
door
did he
and told
get
me to sit
there?
down. He had his eyes on my car and had a gun in his hand.
I just got a freaking
I
chill through my
squatted down
body.
behind the counter and watched the security cameras as a tall guy in
Oh.
sweatpants and a windbreaker nudged my back door open, slid out
Oh,
quickly, and jogged away into the night.
who
I
is
started freaking
that?
out. Turns out the clerk had noticed the guy
just gotta
hanging around the
chill.
side of the building on the monitors. And as soon as I pulled in, he made a beeline for my car.
Oh,
He crouched down and opened the door.
Look at his
and slid
hand.
himself inside as I was swiping my card, being
What
careful
the
not to
heck?
close the door all the way behind him, so that I wouldn't hear anything. The clerk had noticed
Oh.
all of this on the camera, and immediately called the cops, who arrived a few minutes later.
Why didn't you say
They searched
that?
the area and my car, but were not able to locate the guy, or anything that would lead back to him.
What the heck?
The gas station clerk probably saved my life, because who knows what would have happened if I had driven off.
If he's saying that, why
with
didn't
that
you say
stranger
that
in
from the
back
beginning?
seat. I think the lesson here is obvious. It's not enough to be cautious. You have to stay alert as well. Be suspicious, but not stupid. And always listen to your mom.
What the heck?
Ma'am, there's a freaking stranger walking to get in your car. Do not panic. Just run to me and I'll protect you. Now get out of there.
I'm not really a fan of online classes. To be honest, I miss my school and I miss my friends, but we're unable to leave our house after the recent outbreak in my country. It's situations like these where you really realize how much you took for granted just by going outside, going to the movies, to the beach, or just simply doing whatever you wanted. But I don't want to be infected, so I obey the state's order to quarantine and wash my hands really often, and avoid touching my face. To give you some background information, I live alone. I rent an apartment while studying in a big city for my parents. We've never really gotten along, so I decided to go back to my hometown. They would make me do the laundry and cook every day like last summer. I'm not falling for that again. Not this time. This really creepy situation happened to me during my last online class of the day. I have heard stories about people doing pranks by hacking into random classroom meetings on the internet.
Pussy ass nigga, don't ask who the fuck I am. You know me, fucking bitch ass nigga. Watch your fucking mouth, nigga.
I attend a university where classes on Thursday ends around 9 p.m. It was 8:30 and I was already so bored and tired after a whole day of sitting on my desk chair. I was drinking an energy drink and pretending to listen to my teacher while scrolling on my phone under the table. It was already dark outside, and the only light in my room was emitted by the display of a shiny full moon coming through the window. My teacher had decided to end our class sooner because we were listening carefully and actively participating in the lesson. Obviously, he wasn't talking about me, I thought to myself, and I laughed slightly. Most of the lesson I was on my phone anyway. Yes, I know I'm lazy, but I'm sure you've all done this plenty of times in your classes too. Teacher and the students left the class, but me and a few of my friends stayed a while longer to talk about some school stuff. For a few minutes we were talking and joking around when all of a sudden someone entered our chat room. His nickname was Tim16, and he had turned on the microphone and a camera, but we couldn't see anything because it was pitch black. Me and my friends were so confused, and it was funny in the beginning. We thought it was one of our friends who came back to the chat room to prank us, but soon it became too creepy to even categorize it as a prank. We asked him some questions like, "Who are you?" or "How did you even get into this meeting?"
Oh, heck
But
no.
the only answer we got was just breathing. I could recognize the window or door through his camera and see some movement there, but I figured it was too dark to make up even a face, or her face. My friends and I decided to make fun of him and started to say some things like, "Oh, I'm so scared of you, Mr. Mysterious Guy. I'm gonna piss my pants right now." Of course, with the really bad acting along with it. We were all laughing when he finally said something.
Creepy.
With a really heavy, evil voice. It was so terrifying that we all froze in fear. Shivers went down my spine. He was using one of those voice modulating apps, but still, it was even scary as hell just to consider the fact that I was sitting alone in my room and it was nighttime. Suddenly, the mood in the chat room was serious. "Okay, whoever the hell you are, please stop pranking us because it's not funny anymore," my friend Thomas told him. I still thought it was one of our best friends, but he was just pushing it way too far at this point. Suddenly, the figure on the screen came closer. I could make out some of the facial attributes. I don't know if it was because of his low-quality camera that he was using or if there was something wrong with my own display, but his face looked so deformed. I was so scared. Maybe it was a mask or something, I asked myself. Someone really wants to scare us with a sick joke. If this would turn out to be just a prank from one of our classmates, I swear to God, I'll beat their ass, I texted Thomas in a private chat. Then the man said,
"Because you were so mean to me, I'll have to punish you. First one will be Thomas. See you at your place real soon."
Then he left the chat room. How the hell did he even know his name? On the chat, he had his nickname as Student 85. This must have been somebody that Thomas knew.
That's when I had to go get that thing.
At that point, I had a huge lump in my throat. I couldn't even say a word.
Oh, yeah.
I think some of my friends in my chat room had some of the same feelings as well. We all looked through each other and we all agreed to end this meeting for today, so we all closed out the chat room. Nobody was thinking straight at this point.
Close your windows, stupid.
When I turned off my computer, I immediately felt like somebody was watching me from outside. I hopped to the window and I closed it. I knew it was just my imagination, but I just couldn't stop thinking about this guy and his weird deformed face on that computer. Even more scary was the fact that I was alone in my apartment. I immediately locked the doors and I went straight to bed. After a long sleepless night, I texted Thomas and I was fortunate to know that he was okay. And nobody was anywhere in his house all evening. We were both scared and decided to text all of our classmates and let our teacher know about the incident. Nobody admitted to this type of prank. We gave up after a few days of trying to figure out who it was, but that person never again joined our chat room or even appeared around Thomas's house. I really hope it was just a prank and I will never see him again or that face. I'm still anxious even having online classes in the evening on Thursday nights, but it's becoming more and more bearable. I really can't wait for this outbreak to be over and we can just all go back to our normal daily lives.
I don't mean to scare, but everybody needs to know about the time the sun decided not to glow. Night never turning to day, in the graveyard light to split. And people came out of the ground, with some sharp and incredible teeth. And also tried to run, see out the fates to come, see out on the horizon.